Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
Fantastic win by your Sixers. On the road, you lose P.J. Tucker. You lose Tobias Harris. You're down 18, and it's been a grueling road trip. You're in Miami. You have a back-to-back in Dallas. And then you play Milwaukee in their building as they're on a 16-game win streak. That was phenomenal. Now, the third quarter was ugly, right? There was a time where Grayson Allen was knocking down every single shot, which was pathetic. But at the end of the day, in a 48-point fourth quarter, James Harden with some ridiculous shot making. Joel Embiid with the big three at the top, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Your stars step up. 30+ and 10 for your two top dogs. Defensively, Joel Embiid on Giannis late, forced to travel. There was also an offensive foul. And hell, there should have been two. Because when Doc challenged the first one, when Giannis lowered his shoulder and went to the rack, it was the same exact play as the one that followed, which resulted in the offensive foul. So it doesn't make any sense. But here's what I know. This team delivered on the big stage in a big moment, prime time, and they showed you we can compete with this team. You look at a lot of the top teams in the NBA. The one that they haven't been able to climb over is Boston. But the rest of these teams, they're right there, and they're doing some serious damage. That was awesome what they did, shorthanded. McDaniels with the putback at the rim offensively, huge. Guy stepped up, George Niang. Now, this is reality of George Niang. This is what an NBA bench player is. He's a guy that can hit you 5 threes, or he's a guy that's ice cold. Because if he was consistent, he'd be a starter. I'm just saying, right? Like, if George Niang can hit 5 threes every single game, he'd probably start. The reason why he's a bench player is because these guys go through the highs and the lows. These guys go through the ups and the downs. They're not consistent enough to play legitimate minutes. It fell on a day where he was grooving, and we need that. But I wasn't worried about George Niang long term. He's played plenty of basketball in this league. He's hot or he's cold. You got him on the hot day. But how about some of those shots from James Harden from deep? He was in a different universe. Like he wasn't even on planet Earth, and he's just hitting nothing but net. That's what you need, though, in this game. Sometimes you need your stars to bail you out of a certain possession. It's not going very well. It's not going very great. But here's James Harden for 3 to bail you out. The one thing that Doc does do that upsets me is when he takes Joel and James off the floor at the same time. You see what can happen when you stagger. We have to do that. We have to stagger some of these minutes. Difference making. But Maxey was also there. It was a good team win, and they needed that. And I get why the frustration's there because, and I saw this already, nothing like the Philadelphia Sixers beating the Milwaukee Bucks and then probably following that up with a loss against the Indiana Pacers on Monday. So what? So what? Like, if you tell me that they lose against the Pacers, it's a back-to-back coming up. So they're probably going to split the back-to-back. Just saying, in theory, splitting a back-to-back is probably normal-ish in pro sports. So if they split a back-to-back after beating the Milwaukee Bucks, you now lose sight of what just happened against Milwaukee on the road, being down 18 points to a team that's won 16 straight games. I find that nuts. But to each their own, I guess. I just can't live that way. I thought that Dallas loss, even though Luka and Kyrie were drawing a bunch of threes, it's a schedule loss. Miami, back-to-back. That's gross. That's gross NBA scheduling, unfortunately. And you were a product of that. yes, teams right now seem to be getting some nice looks from behind the arc. With the defense, the Sixers defense over helping, all that stuff. I think that some teams are getting some really good looks right now. But you have to pluck away with it. And I like the fact that Maxey's back in the starting lineup. I don't have any issue with it. I am laughing at this, though, to go back to the Dallas game. How long have people been screaming at Doc to put Tyrese Maxey back in the starting rotation? Since he's basically been out of it, right? Doc's ruining his confidence. Doc should have to play him every single night in the starting rotation. This is bad. He finally does it, and I say, well, you can't start him against Kyrie. No. He's either a starter or he's not. This league is filled with great guard play. This league is filled with fantastic, outstanding offensive weapons offensively at the guard position. Either he's a starter or not. And that's why I go back to with Doc. It's a lose-lose for him. He puts him back in the rotation. It's like, well, not tonight. Well, not tonight. He's a starter or he's not. And I don't even mind what they tried. I didn't hate it. Maxey coming off the bench, once again, in theory, is something that is somewhat appealing. It didn't play out that way. It didn't turn out to be great. But to try it, I think is fair. I think it's valid. But at this point, Maxey's in his bag again. So let him take advantage of that skill set with the speed, and let's go. Love the way they got back there, though, in that fourth quarter. It was great. Niang, man. Niang was something else. When he gets locked in, he's an energy switch. He gets the boys going. So the last we spoke, I didn't speak yet about the Miami game, but Joel Embiid rests. Paul Reed does his thing, and he's been playing nice lately. He went through a really, really ugly time, but there's some better play out of Paul Reed. Make the most of it. I still think that there's a ceiling. Like, I think Paul Reed, people think he's better than what he is. But right now you're dealing with the P.J. Tucker problem. And yeah, you saw the Bucks leave him wide open. Wide the hell open. And dared him to shoot. And that's problematic. But I also feel that his defense is extremely important, especially with half-court sets. I didn't necessarily love everything the Sixers did defensively. You can make the argument that putting Joel Embiid on Brook Lopez had him in different areas defensively than maybe you would like to do, but you also had the Bucks, going back to that P.J. Tucker thing. You know, you see the freedom of what happens when you can just let a guy off. But when you lose Tobias Harris, you lose P.J. Tucker, a lot of your options change, and you have to adjust on the fly. And by the way, Doc Rivers does get some nods here for overcoming that adversity and helping win the basketball game. But James Harden, when he was pulling up from three, part of me really thought of, wow, you really traded Ben Simmons for him. And I know we're sick and tired of the Ben Simmons thing, but seriously, the guy's just hitting another three, putting up 38 points. I actually saw a stat here about, this is Kevin Nagandi of ESPN. James Harden last night, 26 drives, most in a game since joining the Sixers, and generated 30 points directly off of his drives, which is the most in a game over the last 2 years. Created 18 points off isolation, most in a game this year for James. Harden's 19 fourth-quarter points, his most in any quarter as a 76er. Well, it's almost like he wasn't healthy last year. It's almost like he had a hamstring that was keeping him from balling out. But that's the difference. Would your point guard be able to deliver those three-point shots? Hell no! Hell no! And you have a superstar now who's healthy. And their two-man game, I'll tell you what, I love the pick and pop. I love the pick and roll, too, with Joel Embiid going full speed down to the rack. Who's stepping in that lane? Who's got the balls to stay in right above the restricted area when Joel Embiid full speed is coming your way as he's grabbing the basketball with a nice feed from Harden? But that pick and pop, a mid-range jumper, off a screen. It's unbelievable. And for anyone who wants him to be back down in the post, take a look at why that's not the case. Because that three-pointer by Embiid at the top, that was the dagger. That was it. Smell you, Milwaukee. Snapping the win streak. It's good, man. It's good. That's why I just say breathe a little bit. They can't beat anyone. Yes, they can. They can beat them. They just did. In that environment. During this type of stretch with travel. It's a grind, man. It's a journey. Miami to Dallas to Milwaukee. Like, that's not easy to do. It's a lot of basketball games. I want to exactly look it up. Yeah, the schedule is tough. Tough. And I also think this is comical. Because when they were losing, what was the reaction? This is terrible. This team's bad. But when they win, it's, well, it doesn't really matter. Well, hold on. It matters if they lose, but it doesn't matter if they win? It's crazy. So they played the 27th, the 1st, the 2nd, yesterday as well. So Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. They play again Monday night. They play again Tuesday. It is a grind. And I know Joel had a rest day pretty much during that Miami game, and they kicked some ass, but that's what they're supposed to do. That's why I always mention things even out in this league. So the Sixers lose at home against Miami, and Miami was hitting all those shots. You go to Miami, even though no Joel Embiid, Miami doesn't hit as many shots as they did in Philadelphia because they were definitely overseeding their expectations, and things even out a little bit. So you split that home and home. Breathe. Let's go to the phones. Let's hear what people thought about this one. It is a very impressive win. I actually like their matchup with the Bucks for what it is. I'm not saying they automatically win a 7-game series. They have the struggle with Boston. I like my chances against Milwaukee. I think there's something to Joel Embiid and Giannis. I think there's something there with that. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying it's an automatic. I want to be very clear. I'm just saying if they played a 7-game series in the second round, maybe I feel better than most do about it. And that's why this Boston thing is so fascinating with me towards the study of Sixers fandom, because it's all over the map right now. These group of people have no idea how to live their lives. They're lost. It seems to be, well, if you can't beat Boston, what's the point of being good? If you can't beat Boston, then you're not good enough. Fair. I'm holding everybody else accountable in this city, right? The Phillies have to get back to the World Series. The Eagles have to win another Super Bowl. The Flyers, well, we'll get there another day. What if the Sixers face the Bucks in the second round, win that series, lose to Boston in a 7-game series? Does that change perception? Does that change the feeling? They make it one more round, but Boston's better, and they lose in 6. I'm just saying. Oh, you can't hear the calls? Oh, I can see the chat. My bad. Why can't you couldn't hear the calls, huh? Well, that's not good. But now this might make sense. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second here. Okay, hold on. It says it should be here. Interesting. Can't hear the calls. Can't hear them. I'm going to play this one more time. And you don't hear this right now. No? All right. That's weird because it's playing on my soundboard. And that's weird. All right, I guess I'll have to play around with it a little bit. It says here, oh, hold on. I'm going to, no. All right, forget it. I guess we just won't, that's bizarre. I really have no idea why that would be the case. But anyway, I guess that's kind of neither here nor there. No, I'm not gonna read you when you leave a voicemail. It gives me the transcript. The most of this game, I was thinking the 76ers, they just don't have it this year. They're missing like one or two pieces. And then the fourth quarter happened and James Harden said, nope, not on my watch, and beat that ass. It doesn't say that at all. It said beat, and I added the ass because this transcript doesn't make any sense. And if I read it like I was going to read it, then I didn't want to read it, then I started to read it, I'm going to end up making sentences up because they don't make any sense. But that's the moral of the story. We have been derailed big time here. And this has thrown me off my mojo. Okay, I'll read you the cliff notes of the transcript of the next call. Joel Embiid and James Harden, that's the best duo in the league this year. But really what I wanted to talk about is I want to ask you, should McDaniels be in the starting lineup over PJ Tucker? I know Tucker's great defensively, but the wide open threes that he misses in the corner really kill us. I'm not in a I need to see McDaniels start mode yet. That's not where I'm at. I value PJ Tucker more than most. It's not pretty at times. I know when we get to the nitty gritty, though, you'll need him. So I think McDaniels has a role. I don't believe you win a championship with McDaniels in your starting rotation. I did see this get thrown out there. Now, think about how this could possibly go, though. Positively and negatively. Do you go Harden, Maxey, Melton, Tobias, Embiid? So you get Tobias playing more of that stretch four next to Embiid. But I once again, there's going to be times like you saw against the Denver Nuggets, and I will project that we see this in the postseason, that PJ Tucker's defense wins you a game. The way that you're able to match him up against another opponent gives Joel Embiid a whole different light. It gives him a whole different urgency in the game based off of the matchup that you can do with PJ Tucker. So because of that, I'm kind of keeping it as is. But is that something I'm willing to look at? But, where does that leave you? The defensive side of the game clearly is getting a lot of people upset with some of these looks from three. Well, PJ Tucker brings, but look, McDaniels is athletic. He's long. There's something to his game, but we do this all the time. Well, should Matisse start? Put Matisse on this, start that, start. There's guys that have roles. Niang should never start. Certain guys, they have their roles, and too much of them hurts you more than you think. You need to find the right mix, the right balance. I think he gives you a spark. I think he gives you a role. And he hasn't, by the way. It's not like he's been perfect. This is also where I think when Paul Reed stinks for 2 weeks and then he has one good game, it's, Paul Reed. He stunk and he had every opportunity to be good. McDaniels, that was a good game yesterday. There's been some times where it hasn't been very sharp. And we can't react to that one or those 2 games or those 3 games and make it seem like we can stretch it out to a large, large degree. There's times where I think it gets pushed to a conversation that's a little bit too extreme and too large. Ward from Massachusetts. Hello, Ward. Amazing comeback by the Sixers. The bench played great. McDaniel stood out. Embiid and Harden need the help, but man, they are dominant. Big question in my mind is how do they defend the 3 better? Dallas, the Bucks, all lit them up with wide open threes. It doesn't look like the defensive breakdown. Talk about the defensive breakdowns. Yeah, I mean, you just watch the way that they are on the defensive side of the floor, and whether it's help defense, there's some things that are creating some wide open looks for the other team. The frustrating and promising part is that they are still right there and can overcome these struggles to give them a shot. Well, I've been saying that all night long, all day long, all year long. Relax. There's a lot of talent on this team. I don't know if they win this game in other years. Harden gives them an element that they've never had. They never had a ball handler this good passing the basketball and being a threat scoring the basketball. With Ben, can't score with spacing. And with Jimmy wasn't a great three-point threat. And Jimmy's not really your primary ball handler. He was forced to be in the fourth quarter of a playoff series. That's problematic. You can't win like that. One guy's your primary ball handler the whole entire year, and then when it matters, it's like, hey, here you go, here's the ball, figure it out. No. This two-man game, and then you need other pieces, no doubt. You need Niang to give you a couple of threes. You need Maxey to be more of this version of Maxey. All that matters. It stems from your two dogs, though. And when they're playing this well, you're there. And I think you're there. The night tonight, though, is heartbreaking reaction in my eyes. Because I think, what if they split these? Who is it? It's Pacers and who? Pacers Monday night, Minnesota on Tuesday night. They're going to win one and lose one, and you'll be like, oh, my God, this team is going nowhere. They can't beat the Pacers. It's annoying. It's annoying. But we'll wrap this up quick. It's Sunday morning. I went 22 minutes, and about 50 seconds of that you can't even hear because the call didn't play. Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.